Hello. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Kimbology. This is episode 6, episode 6, episode Nung Song Sao Si Ha Hok. That is 6 in Thai. So yeah, I don't know why I keep throwing in these little Thai lessons for you guys. But that's just something that I need to also practice, so that's kind of why maybe I'm doing it. I don't know. So yeah, welcome everyone to another exciting episode. This is so much fun, guys. I'm really enjoying this. So I really appreciate whoever is listening out there in the world. This is just something that has been really, really fun, and it's nice to have a platform to share my thoughts. And again, I just want to shout out to y'all listeners. Shout out to y'all. So today's going to be another exciting episode. It is a solo episode today. So it's just solo dolo Kimbo. But I have lots and lots of cool and good and juicy stuff to talk about. Mostly sex. Not really. We're going to focus on Tantra later. And that's going to be nice and juicy. But before we do that, let's take care of business. Let's go ahead and do our weekly segments that we always do every week. And I have some good stuff for you guys this week. Let's start with sexy sustainability. So, sexy sustainability this week. I wanted to give you guys a really good tip that I recently kind of fell into. We bought a couple air purifiers for our house, just because, I got a cat this quarantine and I'm allergic to cats, believe it or not. But they're so fucking cute. I can't. Georgie was just a little kitten. I needed a home, and I just had to give little Georgie a home. So I was going to suck up the allergies and just deal with it because I love that cat so much. And he's the best. He's the best decision we've ever made. So, so during quarantine, we wanted to kind of make it nice and pure in here. So we got air purifiers for the house. And it turns out that ComEd is actually giving rebates for certain products that you buy for your home that help with energy saving, obviously with sustainability. So you can actually go to www.comedrebates.com. I will leave this in the show notes. And it's really cool because there's a whole list of items that are on this rebate list. And then you have up until there's a deadline for the rebate submission is until December 31st, 2020. So you have a few more months before the rebates end. So, and there's a whole line of list of items that are on there, appliances. Mostly they're Energy Star certified appliances. But there's a refrigerator on there, air purifiers, washers, dehumidifiers, electric clothes dryers, freezer, smart thermostats are on there. So yeah, there's even some other random stuff like pool pumps and shit. I don't know. Look through that. But if I were you guys, and if you have bought any of these products, like they tell you the timing and everything like that on the website, definitely sign up. I'm pretty sure the rebate for the air purifiers was $50. So yeah, if you paid for it full price and you just go on the website and just apply for those rebates, you can get some money back for saving, having those energy efficient appliances in your home. So yeah, I learned that, and I totally told all my friends about it because I know they had some of those items in their homes. Because yeah, it's fucking awesome. You could save money, and help be more energy efficient. So yeah, so just a little tidbit for you guys. Again, I will leave the link in the show notes if you wanted to kind of find out what that was again. And yeah, that's a little sexy sustainability for you guys. So hopefully that helps. We all need a little extra coinage nowadays. So everything and anything helps. All right. So yeah, let's move it right along to the recycling of the news. I really just kind of wanted to shout out the Emmys this year. Shout out to the Emmys. It was super, super awesome because there was a lot of Black winners this time. Usually we get snubbed all the time during the Emmys. So it was really nice to get a little love in that category. And I'm just going to shout out a few people. So it was, according to Essence, .com, this is where my source is coming from, there was 24 winners that were Black that won during the Emmys. So some of the names are like Maya Rudolph. She won for SNL in her comedy portraying Kamala Harris. Let me put some respect on her name. And so yeah, Eddie Murphy won for SNL as well. And it was like 40 years for him, like not winning an Emmy. So that was pretty iconic, you know. So that's pretty dope. Victoria Thomas, she won for Watchmen. We got let's see, Dave Chappelle won, and then he kind of went on this whole rant like "fuck you guys" or something like that. I don't know. It was like some big thing. Like he after he won this Emmy, he told him to go fuck himself or some shit like that. Alleged. I don't know. He's the best. I love Dave Chappelle. He's like, fuck what you guys, want me to do. I'm gonna do what I want. So love him. RuPaul won. For RuPaul's Drag Race, which, I know RuPaul's been doing for ages now. So good for she. Stan Lathan for Sticks and Stones. That's on Netflix. Let's see. Oh my God. This Is Us. The actor that played William. His name is Ron Cephas Jones. He was phenomenal. Why does This Is Us makes me cry so much? Like I started. It's a phenomenal show. Okay, guys. It's phenomenal. It's a great show. It's just hella emotional. Like, sometimes a girl just does not want to fucking cry so much, Like, it just fucking rips at your soul. Like, This Is Us, I'm really behind on it because I just can't. I just couldn't cry no more. I was like, ugh. But it's really good storyline. So I'm so happy he won that. Let's see who else won. Mm-hmm. Oh, Michael Jordan's Last Dance won. For outstanding documentary, which was phenomenal. I watched that when it was on live, when we watched it every week. It was a whole thing in our house, and super good too. Like, if you were young enough to to grow up during that time of the Bulls, oh my God, it was just like a time. It was like a time to be alive, Like, they were literally the celebs of that time. It was amazing. And then obviously Chicago, hey, we get that love, it was such a good feeling to have. Like, basketball it's just not what it used to be when it came, during that time. So that was a really nice, kind of like blast from the past. So that was definitely worth it. Let's see, what else won? Jasmine Cephas Jones. This was big because that is the star William from This Is Us's daughter, and they both won. So it was like a cute moment, like his daughter won and then he won. So that was really cute. Maya Rudolph won again. Oh, for Big Mouth. Oh, okay. Yeah, Big Mouth is that cartoon on Netflix. It's like a dirty cartoon animated series. It's funny. Like, I watched a couple episodes. I haven't gotten like fully, in the world of it, but it's funny, if you guys want to watch that. Big Mouth. Let's see. Regina King, shout out to her for Watchmen. That was a good one and done series or whatever, because that's like, it was like on for one. It was a limited series, it says. Yeah, that was good. That was cool. Cord Jefferson for Watchmen. Oh, fucking love her. Now, I always fuck her name up because it's just one of those names. It's Uzo Aduba. Uzo Aduba. I really hope I said Uzo Aduba. Yeah, she was also on what is that? Orange Is the New Black. Yeah, she's fucking hilarious. But she won for her role in Mrs. America. That's on Hulu/FX. The motherfucker from Watchmen. Yeah, he played Mr. Fantastic. The blue dude, the fucking main dude. His name is another one that I will not even go into attempt to say that name because I don't want to look stupid, but it's spelled Yahya Adbul and then Mateen the second. So yeah, phenomenal. He's also like sickening to look at. He's hot as fuck. So yeah, he's he was really, really good in that role. So yeah, duly noted and definitely worth it. Oh, Watchmen itself won, so that's awesome. Zendaya, I keep saying, I don't know why I say it like that. Zendaya, bless her fucking heart. Love that little bitch. Love her to death. She won her first Emmy for Best Actress in a Drama for Euphoria. That show is awesome as well. Totally. If you haven't watched Euphoria on HBO, it will fucking... Listen, these kids are out here wildin', okay? Wildin'. Like, it's crazy. Definitely watch it, though. So good. And then Tyler Perry won, too. And, you know, he has recently become a billionaire, so shout out to him. Yeah. Tyler Perry, what's up? How you doing? Put me on one of your shows. Hello. You know, shameless plug. Yeah, so that was it. There was a few more names. You know, the whole list is on essence.com. Again, 23 Black Emmy winners. So yeah, that was really, really great. Just wanted to shout that out a little bit because that makes me smile. That makes me happy because, again, we usually always get snubbed. So shout out to them. All right, let's move it right along. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take a quick break and we will be right back.
And we will be right back after these detailed messages.
We are back. Hello, everyone. So this is what I really wanted to talk to you guys about, and that was about tantric sex. Ooh. So I wanted to talk more about Tantra itself and just kind of like give you guys a little insight on my experience with Tantra, because it isn't just about sex. I will tell you that. So I actually had my own experience with Tantra, and I wanted to kind of share my perspective, and then I kind of wanted to share other, just some documentaries I've seen and like come across on Netflix and talk a little bit about that. But I think, you know, with my experience, I had a really great experience practicing Tantra for what I did. So when I did find Tantra, I was living in Australia at the time. And yeah, I basically just kind of fell into this kind of community. It's a community. And it was called Tantra is Love. And it was run by this woman named, her name was Emma Power. Super, super beautiful soul. She just was like one of those women that you just kind of like, she just gravitated to, you know, like you just wanted to hear what she had to say. She had a very calming voice. All of our like, you know, workshops and meditations, like you just, her voice was like, like if you guys ever did download the Insight Timer app, like she could be one of those like guided meditation people. Like I would pay her to just do a guided meditation for me because her voice was perfect for that. So yeah, it was good. It was such a beautiful experience. So basically, I forgot exactly how I came across it. I was living in Australia and I was just like, you know, being a hippie, fucking living off the land. I like when I moved there, I totally moved there on a whim. Like I didn't have a job. I didn't have any place to stay. I just kind of like got up and like left. So, and just put my will into like God's hands. I was like, God, you got me? Okay. Universe, you got me? Okay, cool. And it all worked out. It was the best experience of my life, honestly. But when I was living there, I started to fall into this community. So basically I took like a free Friday workshop, and it was just like an introductory workshop on like what Tantra was and, you know, the practices and things like that. So if you guys are kind of like, what the fuck is Tantra, right? Tantra isn't really like, not everyone, like basically people, like there's a whole community of, you know, now it's becoming more exploitive or whatever. It's like not, like some people aren't doing it all like in the right, you know, some people when you hear Tantra, they're like, oh, it's sex. It's not just about that. So you will hear a lot of in the Westerners, like the people that have kind of abducted and like appropriated this culture, they have just kind of made it be about that. And it's not, it's really not. You know, this practice started in India, you know, in like literally like 500 AD. And like, it was basically started off, and this is information that I got from the Netflix documentary called Unwell. If you guys haven't seen that, that's really interesting. They have kind of like different segments of topics that they go over, and Tantra is one of them. And so basically they stated in the beginning was like, Tantra was like this practice of like a demonic sexual magic. I was like, yo. Something about like you drink the woman's cum so you can become like a god. I was like, yo, like what the fuck? Like I did not learn that. Like that's not what I was learning. So like I was like, what? Skirt. And then, but basically that was like, that's like how it got started. But then like different offshoots of like this practice kind of like shooting off and doing other, other things. It's kind of like yoga, like yoga isn't really like, there's so many like offshoots, there's like, I know you've probably heard of vinyasa and like kundalini yoga, and there's, hot yoga. Like there's all sorts of like different types now. It's like, Tantra's kind of like becoming like little offshoots too. But basically, what is it? Tantra is basically a practical practice, right? For living in a spiritual way and living more of a conscious way. That's the way I learned it, okay? Basically, kind of like living your life every day to day, being more conscious of what's going on in front of you, right? So literally like taking your head out of your fucking phone, which I know we are all guilty of, taking your head out of your computer, out of your fucking, your man's ass, your woman's ass, like everything, taking it out of there and just being very like in the moment, right? With what's going on around you, right? So like some of the things that I really took from doing this for the practicing of Tantra was like, basically like what one thing that they showed me was like when we were on the tram is like the train in Australia. Like it was like when you're in the tram, like they were like, when you're on the tram, like just take yourselves out of your phone and just look at the people in front of you and just really look at them, like look into their soul. Like I know it sounds super, super hippie, but like literally if you do ever, and I mean now with COVID days, maybe not, but if you're ever on the train or the bus, like people don't interact with one another and they don't look at each other, like everyone's on their phone, their heads are down and they're disconnected from one another, right? People are very much disconnected from one another. So basically what I just learned was like Tantra is just like a way of living in the moment, being super connected with the people around you, with the universe, with the planet, right? It's just this conscious way of living, and this like, it's a practice that you have to practice every single day. So it's because it's difficult. We live in a world, in an age of, Twitters and, Instagrams and Facebooks. It's like, it's hard to disconnect yourself from that. It's really difficult. And people nowadays, I mean, back when I was single, this is what I haven't been single for a few years now, but like, it's gotta be just so tough right now in the singledom world, because it's like, people don't want to connect. They don't want to be vulnerable, right? Because being vulnerable means ultimately people think that it's being weak, right? If you're being vulnerable with somebody, you're being weak. Like you're showing them your weaknesses, it's just, and that's not what it is, So I really loved this practice. I went to the workshop. It was a free workshop and got to know the people there, got to learn more about Emma and like her, her practice and like how she kind of came about this. And it's just some wild, wild shit, but it was really good because she was like, she basically would tell us stories, right? So she was like this woman that, and this is just like the things that she told us, like she could probably, if she listens to this, she'll be like, girl, that wasn't it. But girl, at me then, come at me, whatever, let me know. But, so basically she was like, the way that it sold me was that she was like, yeah, so like I went my whole entire life with like no orgasms. Like I never orgasmed in my life. And then I started doing, Tantra, whatever. And then she basically met this like tantric like guru that helped her kind of like, find this world or whatever. And then from there, she said that like, she would practice with them. And, for her, it was all consensual. Like we'll talk more about later on with this documentary, some bullshit, but some wild shit. But for her, she said nothing but good things. She said like her and this, she had a tantric partner and he just enlightened the shit out of her. And she said, she's like, one day he came and he made love to me, and then he cooked for me. He wrapped me in a blanket, and he just held me as he fed me grapes and fed me food from, he wrapped me. I was like, what? So basically this motherfucker like wrapped her like a baby. He fucked the shit out of her, wrapped her up like a baby. Then he cooked this whole fucking schmeal, like a whole meal, and then like fed her, like after he like fucked the shit out of her. I was like, bitch, what? Like I was like, this sounds amazing. Like, that sounds lit. Like, what's up? So I was just kind of like, oh, okay. But it was funny because when she said that, she just said it with such passion. I just kind of was like, bitch, that sounds like so amazing, But again, it's not just about like it's not just about sex. It's about connection. It's about being vulnerable. It's about being open, you know? And there is a lot of like breath work and yoga and meditation and sex, you know, like that's when it comes to Tantra, this is me in my experience with studying it, you know, the year that I was living in Australia. This is my experience. Again, other people might experience other things, but for me, it was nothing but positive. It just made me more enlightened as a person, and just my perspective just opened up immensely. And like, I just kind of like was just this like open, I don't know, it just opened and aligned my chakras, all that bullshit, you know. If you don't believe in chakras, you know, I'm sorry, but it's a thing, you know. But so yeah, I basically like we learned a lot of breath work in these workshops. We did a lot of yoga practicing, lots and lots of meditation, and then of course sex. You know, that was a part of it. But it wasn't like the main part, you know. But some experiences. So like basically for me, I loved the free workshop. I was like, this is amazing. I want to definitely keep doing this, you know. There was like this weekend workshop that I signed up for. And yeah, so basically I signed up for the workshop. I went, and I was by myself. Like and the thing, this was like the way this workshop ran. It was like, you can go as a single person or you can go with a couple, you know? And the workshop wasn't like, you were not obligated to, you know, do anything you were uncomfortable with. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no sex. There was no like inappropriate touching. Like it was all consensual adults in a room, you know, doing hippie shit, you know. Like, so my experience, and again, this is some super hippie shit, but like I live for this shit. So like I remember like the weekend retreat, you know, I was a single girl going there, super open mind. I was super single at the moment. I just moved my entire life to Australia. I never even considered moving back to the States. Literally, I just was like, I went gung the fuck ho. I was done with America and this bullshit. And I was just like, I'm willing to just, you know, risk it all, you know? So I came there with a super open mind. So like if you're about this life, you have to be willing and able and open to it. You know, it's not going to hit you the same way if you're still dealing with blockages and baggage and things like that. You know, you have to be open. So I go to this workshop, and a couple of the things that we did, like there was, you know, these, you know, practices where you have to kind of like, you know, forgot, like we did them based off the different chakras. Like there's like the earth, you know, there's like the earth chakra, Muladhara, which is like your earth, which is like your core. And like they would, you know, for example, like kind of like align that with like an animalistic type of like energy. So we would be in there and we would be like screaming and like growling, like, you know, like it would just like, they would just be like, let it out. Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to feel, just let it out. You know, so it would just be a whole room full of these fucking hippy dippy motherfuckers, like just growling and moaning and groaning and shit. And it's like, if you were just like randomly just walking in that room and like not there for the workshop, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on in here? But when I tell you, like being in that presence, like being in that moment was so amazing, you know. And it just was a place to just be that, you know. And there was no judgment, you know. It was just all the people there were not there to judge, you know. And we were all there to be enlightened, to experience this magical moment with each other, you know. And so, you know, there would be moments like, you know, yeah, like the screaming and then like the moaning, and they'd be like, okay, now just let it out. And you would have to be vocal. Like she like the throat chakra, she is like, she also like made that very much like a thing. Like you have to be vocal to kind of like, you know, stimulate this energy. You have to let it out. Like, it's like if you're silent, you're not working your throat chakra. So we would have to scream or be vocal, you know? So she's like, and you know, like it's weird, you know, if you're in there, you're like, you know, like fucking moaning and shit. It's weird, you know, if you're not used to that life. So doing that in that, you know, in that consensual, you know, place, it was really uplifting and really just purifying. Like it just felt fucking good, you know? So, but then, you know, like basically there was like partner workshop, there were partner practices. So like they did end up putting us with people, and we rotated. Like I was like, we did this with like everybody, you know? And one huge thing was like, they called it transfiguration. And that was basically where you're staring at your partner in the eye and you're like staring, but you're also kind of meditating as you stare into their eye. You're getting lost in their eyes, but you're meditating as well. You know, it's like a form of meditation, but your eyes are open. You can blink. You don't have to like, you know, do a staring contest, but you just look into the other person's eyes, and people would like literally feel the other person's like emotions. You know, like many people cried, many people laughed, many people, you know, it built like angry energy in them. Like it just, all sorts of reactions came from this, right? So I remember like, you know, I would be partnered with like random people, and then we would do these exercises, you know? And then there was one guy that ended up being my partner for most of this stuff. And he ended up being really cool. This Aussie guy that he was from Adelaide. And one of the practices we had to do was like, we had to lay down, and like we did, like they did say like, okay, at this time, you know, if you want to take off some clothes, we didn't get completely butt naked. Like nobody in that bitch was like butt naked, but like we were in our like bra and panties and shit, you know, it was one of those things. And we just like, I remember this one practice, we did like Reiki, so if Reiki is basically like energy work, right? Where you're like laying there and your hands are going across you're like very close to the person's body, but you're not actually touching. So we would do like Reiki practices on top, you know, like not touching, basically like if you can feel the person's energy, and like people would be like, yeah, I can feel the person's hand over the parts that they're on, but they're not actually touching, you know? And then we would actually do the touching, like they would be like, you know, physical touch, but all of it was consensual. Like you had to literally physically like, or verbally ask the person, be like, is it okay if I touch you here? Is it okay if I touch you here? You know, like all this shit was like super consensual, you know? And it was really great because like my partner was very respectful. You know, he was this like skinny, like awkward, like white Aussie dude. But like, you know, back then, like he was just like, there were not many Black Americans, like, you know, where I was living in Melbourne, you know, in Melbourne, like it wasn't really you know, so he was just kind of like, ooh, there's a Black bitch here. Yay, Black American bitch. What's up? You know? But whatever, we'll get to that later. But so yeah, we did our practices with each other, and it was super good. Like it was just like, it felt really good, you know? And like there were these parts where like he felt like the energy, like I would put my hand on him and he would like kind of convulse and like jolt his body a little bit. And he was just like, whoa, you know, like, because in Tantra, like there's a lot of energy work happening. So like and I did see this a lot with men more so than women. And I don't know I don't know if it has to do with just women being just like, we're hella emotional, right? In a sense, like women are more free to express themselves emotionally, tell people how we feel, you know, cry, you know, there's no judgment. But for men, it's like, there's that toxic masculinity that's like out there that's like tells them like, no, you're a bitch, you're a pussy if you fucking, you know, cry, if you, you know, tell people that you're hurting or you're sad, you know? So a lot of the men felt that energy and they were releasing it and they were convulsing and like having these like body spasms. And so, yeah, it was like really like totally, when you're there in the moment, it was like such a fucking like experience, yo. Like, and like that weekend, it included like, you know, food. They had a full spread of delicious fucking like plant-based food, you know, obviously because hippie, no meat. But the fucking food was good. Like, you know what? Honestly, I'm not about like, give me good food. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's good, I'm gonna eat it. If it's shitty, like, I don't care if it's meat or fucking a tree. I'm not gonna be happy. But if you give me a plate of vegetables and it's fucking seasoned down, like when we were in Arizona recently, like I had the best fucking cauliflower, like this like dish with cauliflower. It was so fucking delicious, and it was just fucking cauliflower. So like that, I will eat that every fucking day if you have it seasoned and delicious like that. You know, I don't need meat. You know, so shout out to you vegans and plant-based people out there. I'm trying. It's hard, but I'm trying. I have plant-based days. I try, but you know, your girl likes food and meat. But yeah, so basically we had that, you know, it was great. You know, I met that guy, and yeah, after that, me and him kind of decided that we were going to be each other's like tantric partners through this experience. Totally like not like, hey, you're hot, let's do it type shit, but just on some like, hey, you're cool. We had a really good, we were like, we saw each other to like you know, that whole like I see you, you know, like we had that like, okay, you know, like we're both here to learn, we're both here to experience this, like let's be each other's tantric partners. So like what we would practice like on each other, like outside of the workshops, you know. And yeah, it was good. It was really good. You know, like, it was like, so yeah, let me just go ahead and get into this. So in it, this wasn't this specific workshop, right? So like, basically this workshop was all PG, like again, no sex, not even about that life. Right. But, the women did, there was a part of the workshop where the women kind of stepped away from the men, and then the women got a lesson on how to give a lingam massage, right? So let me explain this a little bit more. So there's yoni and there's lingam. Yoni is the yogi word for pussy or vagina, right? It's called the yoni, yoni. And then lingam, that is the yogi word for penis or dick or cock, whatever you want to, you know, whatever, baby leg, all that shit. So, and it's Lingham. Okay. So basically what we were learning was a pussy massage and a dick massage or a penis massage, you know? And so obviously, I mean, and you know what? They were super open. They were like, by the way, if you're, you know, if you are date the same sex, you're free and welcome to, you know, go to wherever, you know, it was basically like off of what partner you desire, you know what I'm saying? So if a lesbian was in there, she's like, I don't need to fucking learn no penis massage, no lingam massage. She's like, I'm gonna go over there and learn what the men are learning, you know? I'm gonna go learn how to do a yoni massage, you know? That was what's up. It was super open that way, you know? So yeah. So what is a fucking yoni massage and a lingam massage, right? First of all, they're life. It's life upon life. It's fucking amazing. And it is what it is. Like, it's basically you massaging your partner's shit. You know, you're massaging, for women, like, you basically would prop yourself up. Like, you would have the man, kind of like the man was like giving birth. Like, you know how women get, like, women that we go to the gynecologist, you have to like put your legs up in that stirrup shit. You know, like basically the man would be like that, and the girl would like get underneath, have the guy's legs on top of her thighs, and you would have the man's lingam in your hand, and you would just like massage it. And then there was like, they would taught us all sorts of like moves you can do to like massage the lingam. I do this all the time with my partner. He fucking lives for it. But it's great. It's amazing. And it's basically like a super, super, like, what's the word? It's just really like, I mean, it's basically you're using your hands, you know, like it's all your hands. And, you know, if you want to call it a hand job, you can, but it's more than that. Like, you know, it's about just using like all of your, like I use my elbows, my fucking forearm, you know what I'm saying? I touch every part of his body, not just his lingam, you know. So it's just this full bodied like massage, but like focusing on the lingam, you know? And so basically though, one important thing that she always taught us was that you don't follow a lingam massage up with sex. Like, it's a separate entity. Like, you have to think of it as it's separate. It's its own. It's like, we learned a lot about like whether you are whether you like to receive or or if you're a pleaser, right? So if you were a receiver, like if you enjoyed receiving love or, you know, touch, or if you're more of a pleaser, like if you like to please more, if that gives you more of a thrill, what have you, you know? I am definitely a pleaser. I enjoy that. I like seeing my partner enjoy what I give them, right? With what I'm touching, and what I like to see their reactions to what I'm doing, right? But there are some people that are receivers. They just like to lay there and receive what their partner is giving them, you know? But it's one of those things where it's super important to like separate it, right? So like doing a lingam massage or a yoni massage is a gift that you're giving that person, right? And it's not necessarily foreplay, right? It's more of a, like, you are giving them a gift, and you're saying like, and you're like basking in their like their residence, like you're just staring at them in awe, and you're kind of almost like worshiping their shit, like their pussy or yoni or their lingam, you know? And it's great. You know, for me, I love yoni massages. They're great. You know, my partner does them on me, and it's the same thing. You know, it's basically it's a massage. You know, and this, you know, we would learn how to, you know, the men learned it, but we learned it too. You know, learned like where to touch and like what energy, you know, what areas, and it's just a full on like it was amazing. Like we learned this practice, and it's like it's a way to also bring you and your partner together. And yeah, it's just the fact that you don't necessarily follow it up with sex. It's like, it's huge, you know, because you're also putting a difference between intercourse and then the massages, you know, like in lingam massage, you know. So, yeah, it was really interesting. So basically this guy, like when I first, you know, got into Tantra, there was another workshop that he was like trying to do. He was like, yeah, I really want to do that, you know, yoni massage workshop. And, you know, basically with that is like, you have to have a partner. Like that workshop was more invasive. Like you'd be there and like, you know, you'd be doing the practices in the room with other people, you know, and and the thing is about one thing I will say is this Tantra stuff ain't cheap. Okay. This shit ain't cheap. I think the workshop that I did, the 3-day workshop, was like, it was around like 450 to like 600 Australian dollars when I went. So I think this yoni massage was like the same, or if not more at the time. I think it was a little bit more, because I was like telling him, I'm like, I can't afford to do this workshop with you. I'm sorry, you know, like, but I told him like, I'm willing. I'm like, whatever you learn though, you can bring it home to me. You know, I basically said it that way. I was like, listen, I don't got the money for this unless you about to pay, but you can just take them skills and then come over and you can, you know, practice them on me, you know? So that's what we did, you know? And so that was like kind of my introduction to like lingam massages and yoni massages. So, if you guys are like, this sounds like crazy, but like you're super interested, like definitely. Like, again, I only did a year of studying this, and it's so like much that like, I don't feel adequate enough to like, I feel like I just learned, like I got just I was on the cusp of it, you know? I was on the cusp of the dick of learning this world, you know, this Tantra stuff, you know? And so like, don't come at me and be like, Kim, teach me. Like, cause girl, I can't, like, I don't have the capabilities to teach you it properly. You know what I'm saying? Listen, when I got back from Australia, my friends were like, bitch, show me how this lingam massage works so I could bring it home to my mans. Like, and I, you know, jokingly like taught him a little things, but like, honestly, like I'm not like, you know, I don't have and I would just think that's appropriation in itself. Like I'm not equipped to like teach this to people, you know? Yeah. I wanted to learn a lot more, so I could possibly in the future, but it's something that moving back home to Chicago, I did reach out to the Tantra community here, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's so fucking weird. Like the Tantra community in Melbourne was like so much better. Like, and it's just, they were just like I'm super open. You know, I've been to sex parties. You know, I'll tell you about that later. I've been to like bondage parties and things like that. And it's like, yeah, I went to these like tantric meetups here in Chicago, and I was like, these people are fucking weird. Like, I was like, no, I don't feel it. You know, like I had to feel it, you know, I had to feel right. The only reason I've continued on with Tantra and studying it when it was in Australia is because the community I connected with, like, they were so amazing. And Emma was dope as fuck. Like, I really connected with that bitch. So, like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. You have to get with the right people for this. Because it's like, otherwise you're not going to want to be that open and like that vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, this is a good transition because so basically my experience was great. I still practice when I can. Again, it's a state of mind. It's a state of being. It's a lot of breath work, meditation, yoga, which, you know, all that shit. I love sex, you know, all that. But you gotta like, it's work. Like you gotta like get out of the fucking matrix. You gotta get off your fucking phone. You gotta get out of the computer. You gotta step away. You know, and the thing is, Tantra, like that was something that you were supposed to like Tantra, and it wasn't necessarily something you had to do with a partner. It was a practice you can practice by yourself. Like for years, I just did it by myself. Like I would just do the practices alone. You know, and that's really honestly the way of learning this and being serious about it. You have to do it first by yourself. you know? I mean, obviously you and your partner can do this together, but it's just one of those things where, you know, for example, if you're a woman that never has masturbated in their life and you're trying to do Tantra with your partner, it's like, you might want to like tap into it by yourself first, because it's a lot of like self-love and it's a lot of vulnerability and it's a lot of like knowing your fucking body, knowing what it's doing for you, you know? And yeah, it's something that I definitely don't recommend to do unless you're really serious about it. But yeah, it is what it is, you know? But yeah, so basically I want to speak now a little bit more into the stuff that I was watching on Netflix. But before we do that, let's take just a quick break.
We'll be right back.
Brought to you by the Rick Dog Network.
So I was talking about, you know, tantric sex and pussy massages and all that shit. So let's talk about this documentary called Unwell, and it's on Netflix right now. It was very fascinating watching that. Really interesting to watch it because, especially with me having experience with Tantra myself, there was a lot of it, like there wasn't all just like positivity when it came to like this documentary about Tantra. There was some negatives as well that I did not experience. So I do know that there are people out there that are appropriating this culture and they're using it for their ill will. Like they're not practicing this in the best with the best intentions. You know, they're like some men, even like there's fucking men out there that have learned this and they're using this against women to like, you know, they just like sleep around with women and they know this. They know that women are gonna fucking like live for fucking yoni massages. I mean, I know you girls out there heard yoni massage and was like, sign me the fuck up, right? Like literally you just lay there and have a man just like massage your pussy with fucking oils and like make you come. Like what? Yeah, lit, right? Well, men know that and they prey on these women, and these men out there that are fucking like, yeah, if you want to give it, you know, if you want to fucking have this bitch, you know, like if you want to be that nigga, like you want to be that man, and you know, do Tantra on them, you know, do these things. They're gonna fucking like never leave you alone. They're gonna want you forever, like that type of shit, you know. So it's like that, and that's not necessary. That's not the way to go about this. You know what I'm saying? Like this practice is supposed to be where it's a practical practice for living in a conscious state, in a spiritual way, is to be connected with people in the world and not try to manipulate them. You know, it's fucked up if people that are doing this. But again, on Unwell, there were these people. There's lots of like different like what do you want to call it? Like tantric communities all around the world, right? There are many of them. There's not just one, and like this one in particular was called Agama, and it was in Thailand, but which really hurt my soul because that's my homeland. That's my mama's homeland. You know, Thailand is a huge part of me, you know? So I heard that and I was like, God damn it, the fuck, you know? What have you white people done? You know, like what the fuck is going on? So yeah, so basically they were saying that like there was like the dangers in Tantra and like how there was this one man, the leader in that specific community was like abusing women and people and abusing like and raping them and things like that, which I thought was fucking awful. Like basically saying like in order to become enlightened, like you have to sleep with me, you have to do these practices with me, and they weren't consensual, you know? And so there were, you know, there's these people that, you know, testimonials on the documentary on Unwell that were saying like, yeah, like he totally like, you know, this wasn't, you know, he totally pushed himself on me and I felt it like, you know, and then basically they feel like they have to do it. You know, these women feel obligated to. They go to these communities, right? They give up kind of like, you know, you kind of like give up your soul and like your lifestyle. Like you just move there, and like a lot of them just kind of like, you know, they become immersed into this, right? It's like a cult, like, you know, they do call like some of these can be very cult like, you know. Another documentary that documentary, but it's another one that's on Netflix is called Wild Wild Country, and that one is wild as well. So funny because OSHO, if you guys have not heard of him, OSHO is this guru, right? He's one of the really popular ones is Book of Secrets by OSHO. And a lot of his work is super spiritual, and it just talks a lot about, these, basically living in a conscious state, super, enlightenment, and wild, wild country is wild. Basically, this was basically like the same type of deal. It was a cult that was started in the 80s, and OSHO ran this cult. Basically took him and his like followers to this desert in the middle of nowhere in Oregon and fucking started this whole like hippy dippy community. And I mean, when I tell you hippie, super hippie, like motherfuckers were like fucking each other and like, just, it was just like, living off the land and creating their own jobs. Like, but it got so crazy that like, it got so wild that like, I mean, they even had like their own fucking airport there and shit. Like he had like Rolls Royces and shit, like driving in place. Like it made me kind of like it was very jarring and very like, it was sad because I'm like, I read his books and I'm like, oh my God, I love his practices and I love his, his books. But it's like watching that documentary, you're like, holy shit, isn't it? This motherfucker was a cult leader. These people like would move there, drop their whole lives, become immersed into this lifestyle, and then just like worship this man, So it reminded me like the Tantra, the Unwell kind of like tied into that. Like kind of like with the whole girl, like was like, yeah, I moved to, I moved to Thailand and like went to this like Tantra community. And like, I felt like he raped me. He pushed himself on me. I felt like I needed to have sex with him in order to be enlightened, in order to fucking, practice Tantra, which is like so fucked up. And that's not how this thing goes. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people, the Western world has taken this. They have appropriated the culture. They call it like a new age Tantra. It's like a mix of like Hatha yoga, like Karma Sutra, which I'm sure you've heard of, and it's just like, it's supposed to be this like wellness, and expanding consciousness, but like people are kind of like twisting it and making it this like sex cult. And that's not what it is. Right. But then again, it's like people have kind of like, like the whole yoga thing, like, like yoga was taken and appropriated, as well. Like yoga used to be strictly, it was from India, and it was a practice that, Indian people did. And a lot of it was like I actually did take that reminds me, I did take a workshop with this guru in Malaysia when I went there. This older Indian woman I forgot her fucking name, but she was like so amazing. And I recorded our practice too, but she basically showed me all these practices that I can do. And a lot of them were they were yoga practices as well. And there were some like eye ones too, like how to like, cause with our eyes, like our eyes are super important. And like, we're always staring at a screen now, like we're staring at a computer or a phone. So it's like our eyes need to be exercised as well. And she taught me that too. And she basically said, she's like, if you do these practices, a few times a week, every day, whatever, keep a daily practice or a weekly practice of this, you can elongate your life. Like there was this one guy that was like over 100 years old, and he was like up and popping. Like the dude was fucking like just moving around like he was in his fucking 50s and shit. I was like, damn, So there is positives to like living in this way, But it's one of those things where like the Westerners, like, you see a bunch of it, these white yoga instructors, these white girls, like, oh my God, like, buy my yogi pants, buy my yoga pants, buy my yoga wear, and then let's like do yoga. And it's like, I don't know how I feel about it. It's just like, we got to pay homage to where it came from and try not to exploit it so much. It's like, come on, like it's okay to like appreciate the culture and appreciate the practices, but I see these like, it just kind of irritates me. And I see these like these white girls, these blonde white girls that are wearing their Lululemon and fucking making money off of, like yoga like that. I'd be like, oh, it just kind of aggravates me, but whatever. That's my opinion on it. But again, I love yoga, I love it. I practice it all the time. And it is a huge, like, it's amazing. My partner does it with me, and it's like, it's something that will just, it's all about, keeping your flow, your body moving, keep the circulation going, so call it hippie shit, call it pussy shit, whatever, but it's fucking amazing. And it keeps you fit, it keeps you, it's a very like, it's like toning. It like tones your body, it's great. So yeah, I don't know how I went on this yoga tangent, whatever. I was talking about Unwell and the documentary on Unwell. So yeah, that was like, if you guys don't, definitely check it out on Netflix. So you can kind of like, see what I was talking about. I was like, when they were talking about like, the fucking, like how you have to drink the woman's cum and you become like a god. I was like, what? That shit fucking like blew me away. I was like, this is not what I learned. Cause if you told me this shit, I would have been like, yo, I'm out of here. Like, this is some weird shit, But no, but this is totally like a thing. And there's like intimacy coaches and tantric coaches and things like that. There's also this, like in the documentary of Unwell, Michaela Bohm. She's an intimacy coach, but she's like a famous celebrity. Like she does this for celebs. Like Will Smith has like vouched for her and, other celebrities as well. I think Sting also like was practicing with her. So, and they show a little bit of it in the documentary basically. And she is like, you can kind of tell like the first woman there in the documentary, there's the first woman, the blonde woman with the short hair. Kind of didn't like her vibes. Like I was like watching it and I was like, don't trust this bitch. But the other girl, Michaela, like that right there, like everything that she was saying in the documentary, I felt those vibes. And I can like, I felt that. Like I definitely could relate to the things that I trusted her more than I trusted the other bitch. I'm sorry. I just did. Like she had like the other, like I don't remember her fucking name. It was in the beginning of the documentary, but she just had this kind of like arrogance about Tantra. And it's like, it's not about that. Like the other woman, like she was just like, yo, she's like, this is about being one with your partner, it's about being open with your partner, communicative, communicating and seeing them on another level, especially with the transfiguration, which is like the staring into the other person's eyes. When I tell you, oh God, that shit is just like on another level. Like if you basically sit in front of your partner and you just stare and get lost in the other person's eyes. And when I would do this, like I would just well up with tears. Like it just brings up so many different emotions. And it's like doing that with your partner, being open and vulnerable and honest with your partner and loving them for who they are. Like, where's the negativity in that? You know what I mean? There's not one, it's just my advice to people out there is do your research on Tantra. Don't listen to the documentary full on. And Wild Wild Country, if you do watch that shit, please don't think that's how it all is, because it's not. That shit was wild. I definitely think you should watch it, but just keep in mind that was one experience. That was a cult. Like that legit was a cult. And I can't believe it was OSHO that like started this, because it's so disappointing, because OSHO is like life if you've read his books. But very, very, it's, yeah. Anyways, do your research, and find a community that fits you. You know what I mean? Like when I went into Australia, I found the community. I really related with the people there. I was able to be vulnerable, was able to be open, was able to be in tune and like show resonance to people, like, and experience like receiving love, giving love, it was just amazing, and I'm still trying to find a good community. Honestly, there's communities in like New York City, and like California, obviously hippy dippy central, Chicago just ain't where it's at when it comes to Tantra, honestly. I just did not find one that I really fucked with here. There was a community here. I've done a couple of tantric workshops that they like. There's a traveling one that comes from New York City that comes here, and they do like these tantric like single like speed dating kind of workshops. I did those. I did a couple of those when I was in Chicago. They were cute. I'll give you that. It was cute. It was a cute way to meet people. I didn't connect with anybody. I didn't. It was just something that I just didn't. I went there though with an open mind. And I just kind of wanted to see what they were about. I liked them. It's just tough because they were in New York City. But I will tell you this right here, this tantric shit, people are making shmoney off of it. Like when I tell you it ain't cheap, like these workshops are money. You got to pay out the ass to have these people come in and do these practices with you. Like I said, I fucking, dropped $600 Australian when I was out there in Australia, doing these workshops. There's money, in this stuff. So like, But, it's because it's such a smaller niche, like, market in that sense. It's not like you can find like a bunch of these tantric coaches everywhere. And also, you're not going to connect with a lot of them. The one here in Chicago, I didn't connect with her. She also had this like kind of like mean, aggressiveness about her. And I was like, bitch, relax. Like, this is Tantra. Like, you're supposed to be like enlightened and like, like, what the fuck? Why are you so aggressive? Like Emma Power, I just fucking connected with that girl. So I just like loved her. So that's why I stuck with that. But still, do your research. Definitely that was my experience with that. So I loved it. I still practice Tantra to this day. And again, if you want to research it, you got to do your homework though. This is something that, you can't just like look up and, it's just, let me just go watch this documentary and give me, like, do your own research, There are people out there that are doing good work with this, and like, when it comes to like Tantra, like, especially with people that like have never had orgasms, that have, trauma, one thing that I did learn with the yoni massages was that it helped to release trauma in your cervix. Like some women, like they did say that in the Tantric community that like women hold a lot of trauma from anything. It could be, a breakup, or it could be rape, or it could be incest, whatever. Just you hold your trauma in your cervix. And so during sex, like some women would experience a lot of pain during sex because that trauma is held there. So with yoni massages, it's supposed to help to open yourself up and like relieve that trauma and like relieve the trauma from your cervix. So yeah, it's great. I mean, it's some hippie shit, but if you guys do want to learn more about it, I don't know. If you guys want to learn more, if you want to learn more about my experiences and want to ask me questions, again, I'm an open book. Email me, reach out to me on social media, and I'll answer your questions to the best of my abilities. Or I can kind of put you in the right places of people that I trust, that I've experienced in this tantric, community, so far, because I mean, I've done some traveling and I've, done some workshops here and there all around the world. So like, I can kind of give you my experience on that. But again, that was just a little tidbit about that. Yeah, Tantric Sex, Tantra. Give it a try. It's nice. All right. With that being said, I think we're going to take just a quick little break before we transition to the next topic, and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
So it's time for our Meditate, Masturbate, and Medicate segment. So this week I wanted to focus on medicate. Medicate. Yes. So I wanted to talk a little bit about CBD. So CBD is, so basically what is CBD, right? So CBD is a non-psychoactive compound that's found in the cannabis plant. Now, what that means is that it's a different part of the hemp. So there's the hemp plant, right? So there's THC that's extracted. So that's where you get high from. And so the cannabinoids from CBD, they're supposed to be more on a relax, like they're supposed to relax you more. And also there's a lot of like health benefits to CBD. So basically I'm getting my information from purecbdexchange.com. But they gave a really nice rundown of the differences between CBD and marijuana. So the cannabis plant has two primary species, hemp and marijuana. And marijuana is got the THC in it, and that THC is the psychoactive compound that gets you high. And then the hemp, on the other hand, contains a significantly lower amount of the THC. And it's like literally like the legal version, like basically if your state is not legal for THC yet, like CBD, that's why CBD is accepted in pretty much everywhere and nationwide, but THC is not. But yeah, but it's got basically like all these like health benefits, right, to it. And, people have used it for their anxiety. They've used it for pain. Women, I know some use it for like their period pains. There's all sorts of ways you can, take CBD as well, just like THC. There's tinctures, there's smoking, you can vape it. There's lotions and salves and creams. And honestly, the same thing, there's dosages of CBD as well. So like, honestly, like, just like with THC, like, there's different, like, you can take like, 10 milligrams, 100 milligrams, all that shit. Just be careful because CBD is the same. But the only thing is CBD, for me, I kind of have a low tolerance. Like when I do THC, that shit will knock me on my fucking ass. Like if I take any more than like 10, 20, if I take like more than 10 or like even like 20, your girl is going to be like flying. Like and it gives you that feeling. For me, THC, like when it's that strong, it gives me this feeling of like I'm not in control. Right. And sometimes that doesn't feel good. Whereas CBD just relaxes me. And honestly, it just like relaxes the fuck out of me. And it just makes me like, pretty much it helps me sleep. So basically I buy these capsules and they help me sleep so well. And it's CBD. It's definitely CBD and it's no THC. And when I take them, I don't feel that anxiety that THC gives you. It's just purely that relaxation. And it so calmly relaxes me and lets me go to sleep. And I don't feel that kind of that hungover feeling in the morning that THC, some THC gives me. It depends on what I take. It depends. Like I've taken some THC where I'm good in the morning, but sometimes like I've noticed that if I take some different types, so that's why I play with different brands too, with like what they put in their, like, and how they extract their THC. I'll get like this kind of like this like high hangover where I get these like headaches and I get very groggy and just very lazy, almost like you're still kind of high. You're like kind of like just like dragging your feet. And I don't really like that. Like, especially if I like gotta go to work or something like that, like I need to feel like energized, So when I take these CBD capsules, I am like, I go to sleep like a baby and then I wake up in the morning super refreshed. Love it, love it, love it so much. Also, be careful because it's like, I know you're like, oh, well, if you want to sleep, then just take melatonin. No, melatonin, your body can become, basically your body can become, addicted to that in a sense. Like you're going to need that every night to sleep. You don't want anything that's going to make you, have those addictive qualities. Like you're going to need that in order to sleep. Like your body needs to just be able to detox that stuff. Like I don't like melatonin. I don't like, mostly melatonin. I don't like sleeping pills, like fucking pharmaceutical sleeping pills. Oh, stay the fuck away from those because that shit has so much other crap in there that's going to make you addicted to it and then make your body just like really like, need it all the time and even to sleep. So then like basically you're fucked if you're just trying to sleep and you won't be able to go to sleep without it, which is not good. And then also, but the other things though, I'm all about that natural life. You know what I'm saying? CBD is natural. It's from the fucking cannabis plant. It doesn't have all those fucking chemicals in it, where I feel like, sleeping pills and melatonin, like, I don't know. I don't really trust that. Another thing though that you can use that helps you sleep is passion flower. So that is it's an all natural, plant as well. It's passion flower. You can take it, like there's teas out there that you can take it. I've seen that there's also, capsules you can take as well, gummies, all sorts of forms that you can take this. So there's passion flower. And then if that doesn't work for you, like if you're like, Kim, I did passion flower, it's just not strong enough. If you need something else that's natural and you don't want to go to the CBD range, because honestly, CBD is kind of expensive. I'm not going to lie to you. It is not cheap. CBD can be quite expensive. So if you want something cheaper that will help you sleep, I recommend passion flower. But then I also recommend valerian root. That shit will not, it's like passion flower times 1,000. So that shit will knock you the fuck out. It's called valerian root. You basically can still take this and then you can still, go to sleep without it, whatever. It won't become like where your body's like addicted to it and you need it all the time. So those are the forms that I like to take if you really need help with sleep. Obviously a lot of us, go on our phones before we go to bed and all those like fucking, the lights from our phones, like, doesn't help with our functions to fucking let us sleep. So keeps us awake, right? If you're watching TV before bed, if you're on your phone before you go to sleep, it's not going to help you go to sleep. So definitely look into CBD. If you want to, CBD, honestly, CBD helps with relaxation, anxiety, again, like period pains, things like that. Lots and lots of stuff, headaches, all that fun stuff. But I use it in particular to sleep. So that's CBD. And then if you don't want to go that route because CBD can be quite expensive, You can also go the route of passion flower, which you can get pretty much anywhere. I was at Tony's earlier and I saw there was tea with passion flower and valerian root too. So you can get valerian root or passion flower. Those are all natural ways to help you sleep as well. It helps you relax and sleep, and that is all natural. You can get teas, tinctures, all sorts of fun capsules, any of that stuff. So that's some tidbits on those. I don't recommend melatonin, and I don't recommend sleeping pills. Don't make your body become, addicted to those things. Again, but I'm just one bitch. I'm not a doctor. I'm not like fucking holistic, coach or anything, but this is just my experience with it. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. If you have other suggestions too, if you guys have other forms of, other natural remedies that you do that help you sleep, or other CBD companies, or, shout out to them, their sales, things like that, just let me know. I could put that in the show notes, or I can put that in the next podcast to help people, because CBD can be quite expensive. So I can give out that, give out some little tips. So there's that. So let's go ahead and move right on along. We're going to go to the quote of the day. And the quote of the day is going to be by OSHO. Because it's so good, guys. I'm sorry. Watch Wild Wild Country, but you can't knock these man's books. They're fucking amazing. There's, the Book of Secrets, and then there's, Freedom and Aloneness. There's a ton of books that he has, but this quote is from that. It's amazing, but definitely watch that documentary because that's fucking crazy. So the quote of the day is, "Love is the flight of your consciousness to higher realms, beyond matter and beyond body. Love is a spiritual experience, nothing to do with sexes and nothing to do with bodies, but something to do with the innermost being." And that is by OSHO. Good stuff. So that's it this week, guys. Just something a little tidbit for you guys. Just wanted to give you guys my experience with Tantra and Tantric Sex. I know people have been very, very curious about this episode with that. So I wanted to give people my insight on that. And check out those documentaries, Unwell and Wild Wild Country. Definitely good, it's really interesting, both those documentaries. I thank you so much for everything, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hitting me up on, all the socials, whatever have you. I just, looked at my analytics. Your girl's got listeners in Russia and fucking Australia, obviously, but because I got friends out there, Italy, I got, what else? There was fucking Kenya. I was like, okay, shout out to y'all. I was like, I don't know how the fuck y'all found my podcast, but shout out to y'all. I appreciate your listening. Again, please rate, subscribe, comments, leave me love, on all the subscribing or all the podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. I just found out that I'm on Overcast, which that's something I didn't even know existed, but there you go. I'm on Overcast too. We have our YouTube channel as well, Kimbology Podcast. Instagram, Kimbology Podcast. I have a TikTok at Kimbology. Your girl's starting to like TikTok a little more. It's fun. It's something I'm still trying to learn. Mostly it's going to be Georgie because Georgie's adorable and everyone loves to watch cat videos. But no, I'm trying to learn more about that stuff. But honestly, it's just fun. It's just little stupid little fun comedy videos or whatever. Nothing serious, which I appreciate. A little light humor. You can email me, kimbologypodcast@gmail.com. Twitter. I need to get more on Twitter. That's something that I'm not a platform that I really fucks with. I go on there here and there, but some people are on the Twitter. I know Black Twitter is popping. I go on there and I be, reading the comments and stuff and say from here to there, but it's a very, I still don't tweet as much, but I'm trying. It's a lot, guys. This is so much. There's just too many things to do and not enough time. And I've been drinking my green tea with a little bit of THC honey in it. Shout out to the THC honey that I got in Colorado. So your girl's high boots right now. It's delish. Thank you again. I will see you guys next week. Bye. Kimbo Out.
Brought to you by the Rick Dog Network. Well, shoot the damn dog.